Welcome. We are now in chapter 2. We're going to go ahead and actually start some algebra work where we are going to solve for simple equations, or simple algebra equations with one single step. So below here are some examples of what I'm talking about. What I would like to do is to solve for the variable that is in each equation. So starting with the first one, we have 7 plus x is equal to 9. Now the way that we're going to balance this equation, that's what it's called, is basically I need to get x all by itself. Now yes, for some of you guys, you probably will be able to guess and check to be able to see what the answer is, but I want to do it algebraically so then that way you can use this process in the future. That's something you can depend on. So the way we're going to go about it is when we look at the equation, what we want to do is we want to get rid of the thing that is in the way from getting x by itself, namely the 7. So the way I see it is because there is a positive 7 on the left-hand side and I want to get rid of it, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 7 from each side of the equation. So note that it's going to be minus 7 on the left-hand side, minus 7 on the right-hand side. And yes, I actually could write it so that it's 7 plus x and then minus 7 either way. So it doesn't really matter. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that right now just to kind of help you see it then. So take this guy right here. We're going to go ahead and, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and rewrite it this one time. Messing it up left and right. So as I was saying, it was x plus 7 and then it's minus 7. So by subtracting 7 from both sides, the left-hand side, the 7s will go away, leaving you with just x, which is what I want. And on the right-hand side, now you can clearly see what you have, which is 9 minus 7, so the answer is equal to 2. So the idea is try not to do any guessing and checking. Moving on to the next problem, it's the same idea. I want to get x by itself, and I notice that the minus 6 is in the way. So the opposite of minus 6, how do you get rid of a minus 6? Well, you add 6 then. So I'm going to go ahead and say plus 6 to both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, the plus 6 and the minus 6 cancels out, leaving you with just x. And on the right-hand side, you see the 7 plus 6, which means the answer is equal to 13. So all of these is just one step. It shouldn't actually take too long, and eventually we're going to get something that's a little bit more complex then. Next one, same idea. I want to get x by itself. Note that's on the right-hand side, but still the same idea. I want to get rid of the minus 7 over here, so the best thing I can do is, because if it's minus 7, then we're going to go ahead and say plus 7 on both sides of the equation. So the minus 7 and the plus 7 cancels out, so x is equal to 7 plus 15, which is equal to 22. If you feel like you want to go ahead and try some of these problems, by all means go ahead and do so, but I'm going to go ahead and keep going just in case. Now for the next part, it's 3x is equal to negative 12. 3 times x to be a little bit more specific. If I'm going to get rid of this 3 right here, we're not going to add 3 or subtract 3, but we're going to need to do the opposite of multiply by 3. And by opposite of multiply by 3, that means I am going to go ahead and divide by 3 then, or multiply by 1/3. So when you see it that way, you can now see the 1/3 and the 3, they're going to cancel each other out, leaving you with, once again, just the x by itself. Whereas on the right-hand side, it's negative 12 multiplied by 1/3 or negative 12 divided by 3. So the answer is going to be equal to negative 4. Moving on, x divided by 4 is equal to 9. I need to get rid of that 4 that's in the denominator. On the left, it says x divided by 4 if you were to read it out. So the opposite of divide by 4 is I'm going to go ahead and say multiply by 4. And there we go. So x is going to be by itself on the left-hand side because the 4s will cancel out. On the right-hand side, 9 times 4, the answer is equal to 36. And that's our answer. And for a lot of these, I think you can probably get an idea. If you want to go ahead and go forward and try to do them yourself, by all means. I'm going to keep going in this case. I'm going to get rid of that negative 5 by, yeah, you guessed it. It's divide by negative 5. Divide by negative 5 because I want to get the y by itself. So y is equal to negative 22 over 5. You can write the negative on the upper part, or you can write it on the lower part, whichever one, or you can just write it on the outside. All 3 of these answers are correct. You choose whichever one works best for you. Now, the last few, it looks a little bit more complex because you have 2/3 times x is equal to 60. But I still feel like you can do this all in one step. Again, keep in mind the idea is I want to get rid of the 2/3, that's multiplied by x. So what is it that's going to get rid of 2/3? Well, opposite of multiply is probably dividing. Or if you want, you can go ahead and say either divide by 2/3 or multiply by 3/2. So here, if I multiply by 3 over 2, you can see how the 3 cancels out on the top and the bottom. The 2 cancels out with the top and the bottom. And I'm going to multiply that same amount on the other side to, once again, balance the equation. So the 2's cancel, the 3's cancel, x is equal to 60 times 3 divided by 2. 60 goes into 2 30 times. So with what's left, we have 30 times 3, and then there's, I guess, kind of like an invisible one on the bottom. So x, the answer, is equal to 90. Next part, same thing. 2x divided by 3 is equal to 60. And if you haven't already, remember, this is just the same thing as the previous problem because you can pull out the x and see that, yeah, they're both identical to each other. So what I'm saying is, well, you can do the work over again, or you could just kind of look at what we have on the left-hand side and you can see what the answer is. So if we did exactly the same thing, I'm going to multiply 3 over 2 to the bottom, 3 over 2 to the left. Multiply 3 over 2 to the left and multiply 3 over 2 to the right. So that will give us the same answer, which is going to be 90. Okay. Last few, take this one. I'm going to multiply by negative 3 over 4 and multiply by negative 3 over 4. Okay. Cancel, 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 cancel. Just x on the left. On the right, 8 divided by 4, that's going to be 2 multiplied by negative 3. So the answer is x is equal to negative 6. So you can see that as you go on, it actually gets easier and easier, and I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with you guys then. Final one, we're going to go ahead and multiply this by negative 5 over 4 on both sides. Multiply by negative 5 over 4 on both sides. The 4's will cancel, the negative will cancel, and the 5 will cancel, leaving you with x is equal to 2 divided by 4, or 2 goes into 4 2 times, so that means it's going to be 5 divided by 2, and the 2 negatives right here, when 2 negatives are multiplied by each other, it just becomes a positive. So that's going to be our answer. All right, see you next time.